Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Laxon Muntali. In this video, we're going to learn about path perimeters in FastAPI, a Python web framework. In the previous video, we learned about path operators. And in this video, this video is the continuation of the previous one. If you didn't watch the video on path operators, I strongly encourage you to check the video. Now that we have that out of our way, let's learn how we can declare path perimeters or variables in FastAPI. So we're going to start by importing FastAPI class. So from FastAPI import FastAPI. I'm going to make an instance, so which is FastAPI. Okay, like this. Then let's declare a decorator for the function that we're about to declare. So here we can just pass in name for now. So let me just pass in the there. Okay, so name. Okay, then let's declare a function. We're gonna just name it name, and we're gonna pass name, then return name. So with this code, the value of the path parameter name will be passed to your function as the argument name. Let's run our saver and go to our browser and check. So uvcon main app reload. Okay, our saver is running. So let's go to our browser. So let's forget about this. So okay, we are using name as our path. So whatever we pass in is supposed to display down there. So name, I don't even know why it's not working. So let's go back to our code, make sure that everything is perfectly done. So so what we're gonna do is let's make this a dictionary. So it's supposed to be okay. It's supposed to be like this. Sorry about that. Let's go back to our browser. So here when we run this, it's now showing name there. So if we put Jen here, it's gonna show Jen there. If we put Samson, it's gonna show Samson. So as you can see, it's working perfectly. One thing that you have to understand is path parameters are variable paths of the URL, as you can see here. So this is more like there's a variable here and we're passing in a value, and that's the value that we're displaying here. So they are typically used to point to a. So most of the times you'll notice that these path parameters, they're typically used to point to a specific resource within a collection such as a user identified by an ID. So let's take, for example, we have a list of users and we want to retrieve data for a specific user in that list. The first thing we have to do is make sure we have a list. So that's what we're gonna do. We have to declare a list with IDs to identify those users. So let's go back to our VS Code. So so let's declare a dictionary of users. I'm going to use a dictionary. So here name or one. So this key is going to act as an ID for this record. So name, I can just name this guy Smith with I guess I can add also age. I don't know how old Will Smith is, but I'm gonna put 50 here. So and 2. Okay, the name. Okay, it's supposed to be a dictionary. Sorry about that. Okay, I'm laser typing. Let me just copy this so that I don't make mistakes. Okay, this one will be John Tembo. I'm gonna use my logo. I'm gonna use names. Sort of weird. Okay, so John Tembo. John Tembo. So this one, it can be 25 years. And with an ID or with a key of 2, we can declare another record. This one is gonna have 3, and it's gonna be Mary Mulenga, 32-year-old Mary Mulenga. Okay, so here, since we're dealing with users, I can just say user. Then here we're passing an ID. So we're treating these keys as IDs. So ID again. So here, instead of returning this, we're gonna return a user. Oh, we're gonna return a record from the users. So users, here we're gonna pass an ID there. So let's check this code. Let's go back to our browser and check if this thing is working. Okay, so instead of name/Samson, you can just say user. Then we can use an ID of 1, and so the ID of 1 is carrying Will Smith, I think so. Yeah, so Will Smith has been displayed. Then 2 is supposed to be John Tembo. As you can see, it's John Tembo. Then 3, it's Mary Mulenga. So everything is working. So let's try changing the type of our keys to integers and see how it works. So right now, currently we're using strings. So we want to change them to integers. So 2 there, then 3 3. Then let's save this. Let's go back to our browser and see. So let's go back to our browser and see. So as you can see, it's throwing an error because the data type of the value of the ID that's coming is a string. And we are trying to use it against integer data type keys in our dictionary. So for us to solve this, we have to change the type of the value of the ID to an integer so that we can see it as a key to retrieve the data we want from the dictionary. So let's go back to our code and make sure that we are using an integer instead of a string. So this ID, the value of this ID is coming as a string. So we want to change it to make sure that it's an integer. So we can do that by doing int ID. So, okay. Let's run this. Okay, let's save this. Let's go back to our browser and reload this thing. As you can see now, it's loading perfectly. The records are working. You can get the records fine. You can get everything. So I want to point out that this is a bad practice. I strongly encourage you to use the method I'm about to show you, which is using path perimeters with types. So instead of just passing in path perimeters, but you also declare the type of the path perimeter that you're about to use or to pass. So let's go back to our code to use the recommended way. So here, instead of using this, we're gonna delete this. We're gonna just pass in ID there. So this is what we're gonna change. So we can change here, then we make sure that here, this is what we are adding here. So we want it to be, the ID is supposed to have the data type of int. So that's, as you can see here. So let's try the code. Let's go back to our browser and try the code. I think everything is done. Let's go back to our browser. So here, if we reload this, you notice that it will still continue working, as you can see here, as it's supposed to be. working. So another thing you have to know is that this will give you editor support inside of your function with error checks, completion, etc. And the other thing is, if you try to input a non-integer value, it will show you an error saying value is not a valid integer. So let's try doing that. Let's try to just maybe type in here. So as you can see here, it's saying value is not a valid integer. Why? Because FastAPI is expecting an integer and you have passed a string. So you have passed a string. So this is how you declare path perimeters in FastAPI. Guys, thanks for watching. Oh, and for those who might be interested to learn FastAPI, you are free to join me on this journey. Every Wednesday and Friday, I try to post a new video on FastAPI. And note that the videos I'm publishing are based on the FastAPI documentation. So I'm pretty much following step by step a guide using the documentation. I'm just pretty much like converting it to videos. And please don't forget to subscribe and see you when the next video drops. Goodbye.